What happens when the 84-year-old mother of a famous TV star vanishes into thin air? At first, it looked like a simple traditional kidnapping for money. A wealthy family, a vulnerable target, and a sudden demand for a massive ransom. It happens every day. But then a shocking twist completely broke the case. When Savannah Guthrie stood on national television crying and publicly agreed to pay whatever the kidnappers wanted, they did the unthinkable. They went completely silent. No more demands, no proof of life, just a terrifying, dead silence. That silence revealed a dark, chilling truth to the FBI. The money was just a trick. So if these criminals didn't want millions of dollars, what kind of monster were they really dealing with? Today, we break down the chilling details of the Nancy Guthrie case, where every single clue points away from greed and toward a much darker, highly personal secret.
In a normal, everyday kidnapping, criminals act like businessmen. They make a clear demand, they set a terrifying deadline, and they arrange a secret drop-off for the cash. They want to get paid quickly and disappear. But in the Nancy Guthrie case, these basic criminal rules were completely shattered. After the initial demands for huge sums of money were sent to the news outlet TMZ, the family made a heartbreaking choice. Savannah Guthrie publicly surrendered. She pleaded with the kidnappers, agreeing to pay whatever they asked just to get her mother back alive. In a typical situation, this is the moment criminals celebrate and quickly collect their millions. Instead, these kidnappers vanished into the shadows. They stopped sending emails. They ignored the family's surrender. Most importantly, they provided no proof that Nancy was even alive. Experts and investigators call this radio silence, and it is the single biggest clue in the entire case. Criminals who risk their lives to kidnap someone for money do not just walk away when the money is handed to them on a silver platter. This silence proves the ransom was merely window dressing, a fake, carefully constructed story created to distract the police. The mastermind wanted the FBI to waste precious days chasing digital money trails and ransom notes. They wanted to create a massive distraction while they executed their real, much darker, and deeply emotional plan completely unseen. When the ransom theory collapsed, the entire investigation had to pivot instantly. Famous crime analyst Dave Mack suggested a terrifying alternative that changed everything. This crime was deeply, terrifyingly personal. A financial kidnapper only cares about the victim's bank account. They don't care who the person is. But a personal kidnapper cares entirely about the victim's identity and relationships. Nancy is an 84-year-old woman living a quiet life, but she has one major connection. She is the mother of Savannah Guthrie, one of the most powerful and recognized television figures in America. Investigators realized that Nancy was likely chosen as a, quote, soft target. The kidnapper knew that attacking Savannah directly was too difficult because of her security and public presence. Instead, they wanted to inflict the maximum amount of psychological and emotional pain possible by taking the person she loves most. The main question for detectives completely changed. They stopped asking, what do they want to steal, and started asking a much scarier question. Who hates this family enough to do this? The mastermind is not a greedy, common thief. They are someone driven by a deep, poisonous grudge that grew over many years. They refused millions of dollars because watching the Guthrie family break down and suffer on national television was their true, twisted reward. To make the crime look professional, the kidnappers demanded to be paid in Bitcoin. To the general public, this makes them sound like sophisticated, untraceable hackers operating on the dark web. However, the FBI cyber team knows the truth. Bitcoin operates on a public system called a blockchain. Every single time a fraction of a Bitcoin moves, it is permanently recorded in a public digital book. It cannot be deleted or hidden. If the criminals ever tried to spend that money or transfer it to a bank, the FBI would instantly track it right to their physical location. A real, professional kidnapping ring knows this perfectly well. Cartels and organized crime groups avoid cryptocurrency for this exact reason. It is like leaving a trail of glowing breadcrumbs for the police. So why did the kidnappers ask for Bitcoin? Experts believe the mastermind actually understood the technology perfectly. They simply didn't care about being tracked because they never had any intention of collecting the money. It was a brilliant fake trail. By throwing the word Bitcoin into the mix, they forced the FBI to assign highly trained cyber experts to monitor a digital wallet that would never see a single transaction. It was a genius move to buy time and keep the police looking in the wrong direction. Pulling off a kidnapping this clean requires an impossible amount of inside knowledge. The criminals knew Nancy's exact home layout, the blind spots of her security cameras, and her deeply personal daily routine. They knew exactly what hour an 84-year-old woman would be completely alone. This kind of precise, intimate information cannot be guessed by a random criminal looking at the house from the street. Criminal psychologist Dr. Gary Bricado strongly believes that the man caught on camera wearing a mask is just hired muscle, a tool used to do the dirty work. The real mastermind is an inside man, someone Dr. Bricado calls a wolf in sheep's clothing. This planner never stepped foot on the actual crime scene and never showed their face on a camera. It is someone who knows the family incredibly well. It could be an old trusted friend, a former worker who felt wronged, or a neighbor with a hidden hatred. They stayed safely in the shadows but handed the masked man the perfect blueprint for the crime. This realization leaves the Guthrie family in a state of constant paranoia, knowing the person who destroyed their lives might still be walking among them, pretending to be innocent and offering fake sympathies. Weeks after the kidnapping, a second, very different wave of strange emails hit TMZ. These new senders did not claim to be the kidnappers. Instead, they claimed to simply know the secret of where Nancy is, demanding half a Bitcoin in exchange for the truth. Crime analysts perfectly describe these people as hyenas. In the wild, a hyena waits for a larger predator to do the killing and then sneaks in to steal a piece of the meat. These opportunists are trying to do exactly the same thing with the reward money. This sender is likely operating on the very outer edges of the criminal network. They might be a low-level thug who helped steal a getaway car, or someone who overheard a drunken conversation at a bar. They know something valuable, but they are terrified of being charged with the actual kidnapping. They are furious that the FBI isn't paying them, sending chaotic, contradictory messages, one day claiming Nancy is alive in Mexico, the next day claiming she is already dead. While these might seem like cruel scams from greedy internet trolls, the FBI takes them incredibly seriously. Every email leaves a tiny digital footprint. If the police can catch just one hyena, they can force them to reveal the name of the true mastermind hiding at the center. When crime scene investigator Cheryl McCullum studied the surveillance footage, she noticed a chilling behavioral detail. The masked suspect was never in a hurry. When professional criminals working for a dangerous cartel commit a crime, they are usually under immense pressure. They panic, they rush, and they want to escape as fast as humanly possible to avoid being caught. But this man was entirely different. He had cased the neighborhood for weeks. He walked with extreme patience and arrived mission-ready, knowing he had a comfortable 40-minute window to complete his dark task. McCollum noted that the suspect acted like he was completely invisible. He was absolutely certain he couldn't be connected to the victim. However, his method of working entirely alone cuts against the theory that this was a professional cartel hit. Organized cartels use advanced teams, getaway drivers, and high-tech surveillance. They don't rely on lone wolves walking in the dark. This solitary, highly confident preparation is the ultimate fingerprint of a deep personal and emotional investment. He wasn't just doing a job for a boss, he was executing a mission he deeply believed in. That level of calm focus only comes from someone who has spent months obsessing over a personal vendetta. Because traditional police methods have hit a wall, the investigation has shifted to a desperate new strategy. Savannah Guthrie has staked over $500,000 of her own money on a massive reward, explicitly stating no ID required. She is no longer trying to catch the kidnapper to put them in a courtroom for a trial. She is simply trying to buy her mother's life back. By using her massive public platform, she is pleading with anyone on the periphery, the hyenas or the scared accomplices, to take the cash, reveal the truth, and walk away free. The FBI and private investigators have completely stopped asking what the kidnappers wanted to steal. Now, they are digging incredibly deep into the family's past. They are analyzing old friendships, fired employees, and past business deals, looking for that specific grievance or hidden enemy. They know that finding out exactly why Nancy was targeted is the fastest, and perhaps the only, way to figure out who did it. It is a psychological race against the clock. The family is offering a golden ticket to the criminal underworld, hoping that greed will eventually overpower loyalty before it is too late. Savannah Guthrie's massive television fame is both a blessing and a terrible curse for this investigation. On one hand, her celebrity status keeps the story alive on national television every single day. The FBI is under immense public and political pressure to solve the case because the whole country is watching. The faces of the suspect and the victim are broadcast to millions, meaning if anyone knows anything, they cannot escape the news. But on the dark side, fame attracts an absolute circus of chaos. The police tip lines are constantly flooded with thousands of fake calls, internet sleuths, and scammers looking for a quick payday. The police are forced to waste thousands of hours chasing false leads instead of hunting the real killer. Even worse, the fame itself might be the actual motive for the crime. If this is a true personal revenge plot, the kidnapper knew that taking Nancy would cause a massive, explosive media storm. They weaponized Savannah's celebrity status against her. They wanted the world to watch the family cry. The public spectacle, the news cameras, and the tears were exactly what the mastermind desired, making the media an accidental partner in their twisted game. Behind the scenes, a quiet but intense war is happening between the official FBI agents and Savannah's hired private investigators. They are fighting for the same woman, but playing by completely different rules. The FBI is bound by federal law. Their ultimate goal is to gather legal evidence, make official arrests, and ensure the criminals spend the rest of their lives in a federal prison. Because of these strict rules, the FBI cannot negotiate with terrorists or let a guilty kidnapper walk away free. But Savannah's elite private team operates in the shadows, far away from judges and courtrooms. Their only goal is to bring Nancy home alive, no matter the cost. They don't care about justice, they don't care about handcuffs, and they don't care if a monster goes free. They can offer massive bags of untraceable cash to dangerous criminals with no questions asked. This creates a terrifying tension. The family is desperate to make a dark, secret deal with the underworld to buy their mother back, but they are terrified that the official police might raid the location and ruin the chance. It is a desperate, high-stakes game where one wrong move by either team could cost Nancy her life. One of the most terrifying clues came from an anonymous email claiming Nancy was seen alive in Sonora, Mexico. Tucson, Arizona, where the kidnapping happened, is less than an hour's drive from the international border. If the masked kidnapper moved fast that night, they could have easily crossed into Mexico before the police even realized Nancy was missing. The moment a victim crosses that border wall, the entire landscape of the investigation changes. The FBI loses its direct authority the second they step onto Mexican soil. They cannot simply kick down doors. They must rely on slow international treaties and foreign police departments. This geography makes Arizona the absolute perfect hunting ground for a calculated mastermind. By moving Nancy to Mexico, the kidnapper brilliantly secured their escape route and ensured she vanished into a vast area where the FBI's high-tech surveillance grid suddenly stops. The border represents the ultimate terrifying wall between the Guthrie family and the truth. It proves the mastermind is highly intelligent, using international borders to paralyze the American justice system and keep their dark secret buried in the desert. As the days slowly turn into months, the chilling reality of the Nancy Guthrie case remains hanging heavily in the air. This is no longer just a physical search for a missing person. It has become a dark, intense psychological war. Somewhere out there, a cold-blooded mastermind is watching the news on their television, hiding in plain sight, and living a completely normal life. Meanwhile, a broken, desperate family is waiting by the phone every single second, offering millions of dollars for just one tiny whisper of the truth. The FBI, the private investigators, and the entire nation are holding their breath. Will the hyena hiding in the shadows finally break ranks and come forward to claim the massive cash reward? Or will the ruthless mastermind successfully take their dark, twisted secret to the grave? If you know anything, the time to speak is right now. The clock is ticking, and an 84-year-old mother is still out there, waiting to be found. Until that day comes, this terrifying mystery remains one of the darkest, most twisted, unsolved crimes in modern American history.